In this video, we're going to talk about how important motivation is in the sales process. We're going to talk about how important it is to use motivation as a tool in every single transaction. We're also going to discuss how to uncover motivation, the right questions to ask to get to the real core of someone's motivation, and we're going to talk about that right now. Let's go.
Now tuned into the month greatest.
The champ is here! The champ is here!
I'm unbeatable, y'all. Let's go.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Martin, real estate agent, investor, and coach. If you have not already, do me that favor and subscribe. Drop a comment in, let me know that you watch this, and just say what's up. All right, so let's get into it. Motivation. Why is motivation so important? Well, motivation is the reason someone is doing what they're doing. If someone is selling a house, and we're talking about real estate here, there's a reason why they're selling that house. Why are they selling that house? Because that is the key component that is going to help you in this transaction. And early on in my real estate career, I have to admit, I was one of those people who didn't really understand why the motivation was important. And that's why I thought it was important to share this video with you guys, because as I grew in my career and the years went by, I started to understand more and more on why it's important to understand someone's motivation. And I used to just hear someone say, the very surface level answer. You ask someone, why they selling their house, and they're saying, I want to move to Florida. And I'm just, oh, great, you want to move to Florida. And to me, that was the motivation, them wanting to move to Florida. The reality is that's not the motivation. That's the destination. Why are they moving to Florida? So we have to learn how to, I call it sitting on the topic. We have to learn how to sit on the topic and not just breeze by it and just move from, we got the answer, let's go. That's not the answer. The answer is the core, which no one's going to give to you up front. Like, no one's going to say, I want to move to Florida because I have my closest sibling down there, or my kids down there, and they just had a kid, and that's my first grandchild, and I want to be able to spend more time with them. You get lucky sometimes, and if someone shares that with you off your first question that you ask. More times than not, you're going to have to ask multiple questions to get to that core of the motivation. And that's where we have to just sit on and not just try to, we hear the answer, someone wants to move to Florida, and then we're trying to relate to that. Oh, I love Florida. What part? I go to Florida and I go to Disney and I do this and I do that. We're all of a sudden trying to insert ourselves into the conversation when it's not about us. It's about the person that we're sitting with and understanding why their motivation is what it is. So we really have to sit on that. Think about it this way. We get approached all the time. We may be in a store. A sales rep comes up to us and says, can I help you with anything? Our first reaction is, no, I'm all set. I'm just looking. Whatever the typical response is. Most salespeople are okay with that and they take it and they leave. But what do the quality salespeople do? They'll ask a follow-up question. Hey, what brings you in? Are you looking for anything specific? They start to ask these questions where you have to remove that wall that you put up. That wall that you put up that you just gave that answer to hopefully satisfy them, didn't satisfy them. Now they're asking more engaging questions, and naturally we have to answer them. And I came in for some hiking boots, or I came in for a jacket. It's like, oh, we just actually got a couple new jackets in. Let me show them to you. And now you start to engage with the salesperson where you understand they're there to help you. So one of my thoughts and fears, or concerns I should say, is early in the business, I thought, I don't feel right. Like, if I try to get this motivation from someone, then what do? Use it against them? And that's not what it is at all. The motivation, once you uncover the motivation, it's not to be used against them. It's to be used to remind them. It's to be used to remind the person, your client, why they even hired you in the first place. Because things are going to get tough. And when they get tough, how often have you heard a seller say, oh, let's just put it back on the market, or oh, we don't have to sell it, let's not accept the offer. And they're just so quick to pull the plug. And if you ask commercial agents have something, they figured something out. They don't like working residential real estate because of the emotions involved in residential real estate. Where if you are a residential agent, we have to work with these emotions. We have to deal with these emotions on every single transaction mostly, right? So motivation is going to be one of those tools. It's going to be one of those things that we can reach into our toolbox and pull it out when needed, when appropriate, and saying, hey, look, Mr. Seller, Mrs. Seller, I thought you wanted to get to Florida. I thought you wanted to be around your grandkid and get there before the winter hits. If that's the case, why are we arguing over a couple $1,000s here in the grand scheme of things? Will you still be able to get to where you want to go based off of the offer that we have in hand? Or we need to renegotiate after the home inspection. Let's just fix the issues and move on so you can get to where you want to go. Will you still be able to get to where you want to go with the money that you need to make that happen? Because if the answer is yes, then what are we talking about? That's the type of stuff that we have to insert into the conversations to remind them. It's like, wake up, snap back into it. You want to get to Florida. So in order to do that, we have to just get through this transaction. So it's not using their motivation against them, it's reminding them about why they're even in this situation to begin with. And that pleasure needs to be inserted of moving to Florida. It's also the pain of staying in the situation. What happens if you don't sell? What happens if we do take this off the market? What does that look like for you? You're going to go down to Florida and spend a few months and be back and forth, and what does that expense look like? What does the cost look like? Do you really want to deal with the property in the winter again? All these things that are going through their head, that pain can hopefully put them in a place mentally that they won't let their emotions get the better of them. So remember, it's important to ask the right questions and ask multiple questions. You can't just settle on asking that surface level question, why are you moving? Remember that sales rep we talked about. Can I help you with anything? Everyone's reaction is, I'm good. They're giving you just enough to see if you're going to push it to the next level. Push it to the next level and ask that question. What brings you down there? What brings you to Florida? What brings you up there? I don't know where we're talking about here, but in our example, what brings you down there? What's in Florida? What part? Why that area? Until they start to uncover the real motivation of why they're going someplace. So once we have the motivation, it's up to us to let them know, look, I want to help you get to Florida so you can be with your grandkids, so you can be in a place that, to me, sounds like an awesome next chapter in your life. So my job is to get the most money I can for your property and get you down to Florida. Now you've expressed that you're on the same team as them. You're trying to get them the most money possible, and you understand their journey of where they are right now to where they want to go in Florida, and you're going to help them accomplish that. It's so much more powerful to have those conversations than just the transactional side of things, especially when you already know emotions are all tied and interweaved in this transaction anyway, so you might as know where those emotions are coming from. Guys, motivation is key. So find the motivation, and then understand the motivation, and then insert the motivation to help remind your client why it's important to get this transaction done with, to the finish line, get their briefcase full of money, and get to the next chapter of their lives. Hopefully this video helped you guys and reminded you how important motivation is to uncover and use within your transaction. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. Watch some other stuff on the channel. I'd appreciate it. Comment, let me know that you enjoyed the content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.